Hey, everybody. We are about 5 minutes out, and we'll get things kicked off. Thanks for joining. Got about 1 minute, everybody, and then we'll get things started. Did I hear Christmas? Was that a Christmas hum? Because I do that too. I thought I was heard. Like I did. Maybe not. All right, everybody, good afternoon. I'm going to go ahead and get things kicked off. Karen Williams could not make this meeting today, so I'm going to start us off here and move us through the agenda. Thanks for making time this afternoon. I know we may be the last meeting on everyone's schedule, so we'll definitely try to keep this to an hour. But we really wanted to bring this group back together. It's been about 30 days since we last spoke, and primarily go over some of the discussions that took place and some of our quick wins that we went over in the leadership convening meeting, which was all of the Build Back Better Together focus groups kind of reporting out on Friday. I'm not sure if any of you were able to make that call, but kind of for those who weren't able to, kind of recap what we went through from our committee. And also share some news. So we are the hospitality committee within hospitality, sports, and bourbonism focus group, and we've been working kind of as 3 independent subgroups, and moving forward we're actually going to join the 3 together. We have some dual members and some very similar work happening. So for the next meeting that we schedule, we'll actually have the sports group and the bourbonism group joined with us, and we'll work together as one focus group and no longer have the subgroups moving forward. I think that's going to be really good, and there's some good work happening in all those, and we don't want to step on each other's toes. So good things to come for sure. As always, please feel free to put things into the chat or just jump in and ask questions. Like I said, we'll kind of go through the agenda. And I'm going to try to actually share my screen so we can walk through this together. Let's see if this works. I had a Zoom meeting right before this and my sharing just decided not to work. So you never know. Let's see here. Can everybody see my screen with the agenda and everything? Okay, good. I see Shannon gives me a heads up. You know what? I jumped ahead though. I don't know if we did this last time, but I know we have a lot of people on here, but I would like to go around the room real quick and do quick introductions. I think I'm going to attempt that, even though I know we have a larger group. But I think it's helpful for all of us. I know most people on the screens. I can't see everybody, but we're going to jump through this real quick. And I'm going to call you out based on the name you have written on your tile. So if it's not right, I apologize. And just go to order as I see it. So Miss Stacy Roof, you're first up. I can't hear you, Stacy. I'm sorry. I still can't hear you. Looks like Zoom is being mean to all of us today. All right, Stacy, you figure that out. I'm gonna jump over to Shanna Ward.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everybody. It's Shanna Ward. I'm with the Kentucky Derby Festival, and I'm the director of events.
Thank you. Daryl?
Sorry about that. Daryl Watson, Vice President of Strategy and Innovation for the Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport.
Thanks, Daryl. Sharonda Greenlee, Shay.
Hey everybody, Sharonda. I own a consulting firm here in Louisville, and also I manage a large nonprofit, and I'm on the Black Tourism Board here.
Thank you. Blake?
Hi, Zach. Blake Henry, General Manager here at the Kentucky International Convention Center. Glad to be here. Hi, everyone.
Thanks, Blake. Rick?
I'm Rick Tonini, Mayor of St. Matthews.
Thanks, Rick.
I got a lot going on, so I'll be in and out of this meeting.
I know that I appreciate that. I know I've heard from several of you, so feel free to jump in and out or do what you need to do, obviously. Mr. David Green?
Good afternoon, gang. David Green, General Manager, Louisville Marriott Downtown, and President of Louisville Hotel Association. It's good to see you today.
Thank you. L. Mann, I'm not quite sure.
It's Lance Mann. I'm a director with Dean Dorton Allen Ford, a CPA and consulting firm.
Great, thanks, Lance. Mr. Donald Lassier.
Donald Lassier. I'm president and CEO of the Muhammad Ali Center, and also I sit on the board of Global Tourism.
Thank you. Katie Nelson.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Katie Nelson, Director of Events at Waterfront Park. It's good to see everybody.
Thanks, Katie. Ryan Rogers.
Good afternoon. Ryan Rogers. I'm the managing partner of Feast Barbecue, Royals Hot Chicken, and Bar Betty.
Thanks, Ryan. And I need to get down to Royals. Anyways, Butch Mosby.
Butch Mosby, president of Sponsor for Success. For this group, I'm representing the Hotel Indigo that is going at 5th and Broadway, scheduled for January 2022.
Thanks,
Hopefully.
Butch. Really appreciate you making time for the call. I think I'm pretty sure you were international. So thank you. Mr. Sean Higgins.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks, everybody. Sean Higgins. I own Minchulip Tours with my wife, Lisa, and happy to be here once again.
Thanks, Sean. Nick Oliver.
Hi, I'm Nick Oliver. I currently employed with Louisville Metro government, but before this position, I spent 20 years or so in hospitality and entertainment industries. So it looked like an opportunity for me to kind of help and give back where I could.
Great, thanks, Nick. And what do you do now for Metro?
I work in the technology department.
Great. Krista, Bell Louisville.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Krista Snyder with Belle of Louisville Riverboats. I am the CEO there.
Thank you. And it looks like we have one caller. That's a 599 number. Is that someone already on the call?
Hi, Zach. This is Althea. I am with Mayor Fisher's office. I also represent Metro on the CVB, and I'm also a member of the Black Advisory Council.
Thanks, Althea. Appreciate it. All right. Well, I'm going to jump back into sharing the screen here. Again, I hope. You never know. All right. Can everybody see that all right? Perfect. So this is kind of an overview of what we did. We had a meeting on Friday that was community-wide, and each group kind of reported out. There's great notes from that if you want to see what some of the other focus groups are doing, like education, built in natural environment, economy, et cetera. We've identified some quick wins in this group and from some of the notes, and so we went over some of these updates, and I'll just kind of run through them real quick. The hospitality reopening task force, we mentioned that last time. I know we had several questions from our last call about how events were going to take place and what was some of the criteria there. And we mentioned this piece that we had been working on. Actually, Blake Henry and Katie Nelson, who are on this call, both co-chaired the venues committee that put out a document with suggested best practices and recommendations for reopening. That document was finalized, I guess that was back at the end of May or June. It was great work by well over 50 organizations were represented there. And we put that along with several others. Stacy Roof put together a document representing the restaurants. And those all live on our website right now at go to louisville.com/safereopen, and really provided some groundwork before we really knew anything, to be honest, about how we were going to reopen, how we were going to come back. And since then, we have obviously received a lot more guidance from the state, especially when it comes specific to venues and event spaces, which we were really craving early on to figure out how we could start hosting groups again. So we spoke about that. We have, this is a new update. We have hosted 8, I guess I'd say larger scale conventions and events since July 1st. There's actually been more than that, but those are the ones that crossed over multiple hotel properties or were of note. There's several small meetings and seminars taking place at hotels. The largest of those being the National Street Rod Association, which took place the first week of August. They brought in, we got the numbers just recently, a little over 7,400 vehicles registered for that. And it's been, it was very much a success. It flowed well. It was really interesting to see the Expo Center out and about and using all the new precautions and signage and information like that. So that was a big success. Also from the sports group, obviously we know Louisville City FC has held 7 home games with fans, which has been big, and the Louisville Sports Commission has been approved to hold or host 3 of their major events, the Urban Bourbon Half Marathon, which is presented by Jim Beam, their corporate games, and then the Live and Lou Cross Country Classic. So that's good information. We also talked about the Global Biorisk Advisory Council, or GBAC. This is an international accreditation on cleaning, disinfection, infectious disease prevention. And we really championed this and wanted this to come to the city so that venues, event spaces, hotels, really anyone could sign up for this and become accredited, just to kind of give that future consumer confidence as we move through this. So We were very quick to that. There were only a handful of cities in the US that had started to work on this process, and they were all major tier 1 cities like LA, I think New York, Orlando, Chicago. Some of their major convention facilities had signed on to this pretty early, and we were right kind of neck and neck with them. We also held our hospitality industry diversity, equity, inclusion training. That was held on July 22nd. I think that was prior to our first meeting or right around that time. And that was about 475, I had 450 on there, I think, but it ended up being about 475 participants from all over the industry-wide. And we really view that as a great success. And it's going to be the first of several trainings in a workshop series. The second one we're actually working on right now will be scheduled at the end of September. Again, I think that was well received, and we were really excited to see the participation and have the equal number, if not more, signing up for the next date. We've also launched several, I think Sharonda mentioned it, and some others. We have a local Black Tourism Advisory Council that we're pulling together with local leaders and representatives to kind of help us, guide us. We have another council that we've launched about 2 years ago, our LGBT council, and this will be similar. Just help guide us in these spaces as we continue to market the destination. Let's see, finally, we did we are doing a diversity, equity, inclusion organizational audit, and this is really for Louisville Tourism specific as an organization to review our hiring, procurement, all the different processes that we go through to make sure that we are doing what we need to do in this space as well. It's really important for us to be the leader in that, and I think this is going to go a long way for our staff. We've already started this process. We're about a third of the way through currently. And then not on this sheet were some updates from the Bourbon side of things. The KDA has also launched a DEI advisory council as well, and are using that to kind of guide some of their paths forward. As far as COVID goes with the Bourbon space, they're really still focused heavily on trying to reopen their facilities, the ones that have not opened, and trying to go virtual, create some virtual experiences and virtual information to share with their guests. Anecdotally, now that we have some data, we've started to have some conventions in July, and anecdotally, we have seen good, maybe Krista could even speak to this as we get into it. We've seen about 85% of our attractions reopen, not including the performing arts venues. And we have heard anecdotally again that on weekends and in some peak times, they've been able to fill tours, and we're seeing certainly out of town folks coming in. So during the week it's still pretty slow, but we are experiencing some uptick there. So that's been a positive since we last spoke. And we're looking forward to hosting several other groups into September. None that are huge really at this point, but moving forward, definitely some larger scale events. On the leadership call, we were asked, a community member asked about large scale festivals, and we really don't see those coming back for quite a while. They specifically asked about outdoor music festivals. And as you can imagine, that's going to be probably one of the latter pieces of our business to come back, just due to the social distancing needs there. But again, I've seen some really unique setups, so we'll see where that goes. But we don't have any large scale festivals on the books through the rest of the calendar year that I'm aware of. So that's a quick update. I thought the leadership call went really well. All the groups reported out, and we'll have a follow-up to that as co-chairs tomorrow. Althea, I know you were on that call and you're on this one. Do you have any other updates you'd like to share?
No, I think you've pretty much covered everything that you went over on that call. You've done a good job summarizing.
Appreciate it. The one piece of that call that came up several times, I know it actually came back as I was reviewing our notes, was workforce development and how this committee and others tie into the education committee. And I think that's going to be an ongoing discussion. I know internships came up. That was kind of a major need for the hospitality industry prior to the pandemic or any of the situation. We were really needing to get folks in the pipeline. And so I see that being an ongoing next step for this group too. How do we work closely with the education committee and create some quick wins that we can do moving forward? We talked about the CTA last time, our certified tourism ambassador training as a way, and we've gotten that into the JCPS schools, to the high schools, and I know we want to do more of that. So that was a quick update. I really want to turn it over to the group and see if anyone had any specific topics they'd like to cover, any general discussion. Really, this has been a great opportunity to hear from everyone in a variety of sectors on what you're experiencing, especially now that we're about 30 days from our last call. Are there any trends, any anecdotes, and what other kind of focus areas do you see this group needing to really look at as we move forward? So I know several of you guys have your videos off, but would love any feedback from the group on that was my nudge to turn on your video if you can, by the way, but I get it. It's so hard to talk to a bunch of black screens, but I appreciate everyone that has it on. No, if anyone has any feedback or topics for next steps for this group, I think we've really came to several quick wins that we can establish and are working through right now. And our committee is one of few, I think, that's really kind of in the heart of it. Others are still kind of developing. So anyways, we'd love feedback, either chat or jump in as to where you see our next steps going, what other areas we need to focus on, and where we can kind of find some quick wins in those spaces.
Zach, I have a quick question in regards to restaurants, and forgive me, I'm not local at the moment, so I don't know what the updates have been. But what are the capacity levels now for restaurants, and what are the distancing rules, and how do you see that playing out in the future?
That's a great question. Stacy, do you mind if I turn that over to you? Stacy Roof, jump in on that.
I think she still has mic issues.
Oh, she does have mic issues. I forgot. Sorry,
I
Stacy.
think we're at 50% capacity, I think, is what it just went back up to. They took us down to 25, and the governor took us back up to 50 about 2 weeks ago. And I've been to lots of restaurants, and, the 50%'s not good. This is Lance, by the way. I don't know if anybody was talking. But it makes me feel normal, and I'm away from everybody. Like Swizzle has their grand opening this Friday night, I think. They had the pre-opening last week, so if anybody's looking for fun, Swizzle on top of the Galt House is having their grand opening this weekend, and it was wonderful. And seeing people and bartenders, and yes, we were far apart from each other, but there was plenty of space. And at that price point, I still think they made money.
Yeah, that's a great update. Thank you. Yeah, 50% is what I heard. If someone could chime in, I don't know if the 10 p.m. Is the 10 p.m. curfew for restaurants still in effect? Yeah.
Yes, restaurants and bars, 10 o'clock.
Okay. Yeah, I missed his last update. Let's see here.
Zach, I'm happy to add on to that if you'd like. It's Krista.
Please. Yeah, go ahead.
At the Riverboats. We essentially abide by the restaurant guidance as well as the event venue guidance. And then there's a lot of other things too, the Coast Guard and Passenger Vessel Association. But we are currently operating at 33% out of an abundance of caution because you can't really account for where people are going to go on the boats. For example, on the Mary Miller, people like to get up on the top observation deck. So we want to make sure if everybody is up on that top deck that we still have plenty of space. So again, we're just being conservative about that. But to your earlier comment, we reopened essentially as soon as we could in mid-June and have been operating with a limited schedule, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday schedule, which is very different for us from a typical season. But we have been maxing out a number of those cruises, a couple of which consistently sell out every weekend, which is great. Now, granted, we are selling out at 33% capacity, but still there is ongoing interest and engagement, which is great to see. A majority of the people, well, I don't want to say a majority, about 42% of our passengers so far this season have been from Kentucky, as you would expect. A good number of people, though, the remaining 60% or so are from out of the state, with a lot of those people being from Indiana. About 26% are from Indiana. Again, also as you would probably expect. But we are seeing people from, of course, Tennessee and Ohio, but also all over the country, Alabama, Arizona, Florida, Georgia, California, Colorado, and this is based on the zip codes that they provide us. But somehow, some way, we have a lot of traveling folks who are still visiting with us. So I just wanted to pass that along, because we're certainly seeing probably better interest and engagement than I would have expected a few months ago.
Great, thanks, Krista. That's good. Stacy is updating in the chat box, so if anyone has any restaurant-specific questions or concerns or thoughts, shoot them in the chat box and she'll see it. But yeah, there's some good information on there on social distancing, the max table party of 10 people. So good question on that. Anything else as it relates to restaurants? We have several restaurant folks on here. When it comes to hotels, I can tell you about a new program we're hoping to launch very soon. It's going to be a local hotel program. Indianapolis actually did something similar, and so anyone with an ID from Indiana or Kentucky, I believe, maybe it's just Kentucky, will be able to get a deep discounts at hotels. And we're really trying to get those local staycations. So that'll be launching in September and run through December. And we will be kind of marketing that with our owned assets. We put a little bit of paid advertising behind that, but mainly through our email database. And Indy saw a lot of success with that. We've had numerous hotels sign up for that locally. So we're excited about that kind of local push. And of course, there was free parking downtown through August. I don't know if that'll get extended or not, but that was something we were working on as well to kind of get folks back downtown again. Anything else on hotels? David Green, any updates from the Hotel Association?
Our board met last week, went through some possible programs to, get people downtown into the hotels, restaurants, and just really downtown, but we haven't settled on anything yet. Downtown is just really a struggle, as most of you know. But we're working out with some consultants now to try to put some plans together on what we can do in the association to try to breathe some life back into the hotel industry, get people back to work, and get people back downtown. Right now, occupancy rates in downtown are running roughly about 11%. So with that, every hotel downtown is burning cash. It is costing every ownership group a ton of money to keep them open. The Omni is going to open up this Friday. We will open the Marriott back up on Tuesday, a week from today. But getting people traveling again and getting people downtown is going to be critical to sustain these assets.
Thanks, David. Any questions or thoughts related to hotels?
I would just say from the attraction point of view, David, at the Bell, I'm new in my role. I've been here about a year, so I haven't had the chance to work with a lot of you guys yet, especially given the strange year that we are in. But just keep us in mind. We would love to partner with you individually or the Hotel Association at large. We're very open-minded, so I'm super passionate as well about getting people back downtown. If there's anything we can do creative together, just let me know.
Very good. I'll reach out to you. We'll have some conversations and get you a 2-hour meeting in September.
That sounds great, and I'd love that.
Hey everyone, this is Sharonda, and I know it's kind of a big elephant, but I think we're going to continue to suffer as it relates to tourism and hotels until people feel safer going downtown, and or there's some justice done for some cases that we have going on in the city of Louisville. I know from an African-American or the Black cultural perspective, it's not just a case against Brianna. They're going to take that out on any establishment. So they don't want to put money into Louisville, spend money in Louisville and you guys have nothing to do with the case. But the thing is, people are not trying to spend money unless this is dealt with. And so I think Kentucky, City of Louisville, while this is not a tourism issue, it is, because people are just not going to spend the money. Or some people that are out of town are going to continue to come in, damage the property. I'm getting text messages right now where Central Avenue is blocked. Tim Finley was just arrested again. And so that is something that's huge. That on the Black Tourism Call, the question was asked, have you even spoke to people like Until Freedom or these people that are coming in? Because they're tourists, their intent is different, but have you even have a conversation with these folks? So that was brought up on the tourism call. The answer obviously was no, but not to be Debbie Downer and all this, but that's a real situation. Safety, and why do we want to spend money in Louisville when in people's minds, they're not doing right by the families in their mind?
Thanks for sharing that, Shay.
It's more than just tourism as well. There are industries downtown. Office buildings are empty because they don't want people downtown. And part of it is COVID, and part of it is what's going on. You know, you take the Humana building, 50 people is all they will allow in that building at any given time. So you talk about restaurants, restaurants will not survive down here without these office buildings working, without people that live here working downtown again. So.
Yep, good points, everybody. You know, Shay, to follow up on that, when that question was asked and the answer was no, what do you see the answer to that being? Like, where do you see that going?
Where I see it is actually establishing healthy relationships with the people. If we had relationships with the African American or Black community prior to this, I think it wouldn't be as bad. But now it's a reactive, you know, it's a response, it's reaction. So people are like, oh, now you want to talk to us, or now you want to have conversations. And so the response is developing a relationship with these leaders. So if you have Until Freedom or folks like that are bringing in crowds of people and they're organizing, then someone needs to have a conversation, a sit-down conversation with them. And that's it. I mean, it's conversations, but nobody on that call knew of any kind of conversation. It's uncomfortable, but it has to happen. So that's it. It's basically having a conversation with people like, you know, this is what we can do. This is how much you're impacting our tourism, the jobs, people downtown, because people feel unsafe. If that's not the intent of your protest, then what can we do to make this safer so you know, we both win? But the conversation has to happen.
Gotcha. Thanks for that.
Mm-hmm.
And David, your point, certainly the downtown businesses getting folks come back downtown is certainly a priority. I know there's, especially in the restaurant world, that's a lot of dependence on the workers downtown. All right. There's no other thoughts on that. I'll talk about one more initiative that we're doing at Louisville Tourism with the masks. We have started selling masks out of our visitor center, which is open currently Wednesdays through Sundays from 12 to 5, the current hours. And we've used that as a program to raise money to give back to the COVID Relief Fund, Team Kentucky, and also the, I'm not going to say it correctly. It's the, I completely lost it. I lost it. I'll send it out. But back to Team Kentucky and the COVID Relief Fund. So we have a Just Add Bourbon mask and a Fleur de Lis mask, and both of those have made an appearance downtown. The Just Add Bourbon mask is on the Troll at Troll Pub, and the Fleur de Lis mask is on the David statue in front of 21C. So we're gonna use those as some ways to do some promotion around that. But they're $10, and the proceeds go to those funds. So that's been really successful. We've raised over $2,500 already. So that's been good and well received. So if anyone needs a mask or wants to spread that around, we'd be happy to do that. You can also order them online through our website. I think that's it in that space. Any other thoughts? We kind of covered restaurants and hotels. What about next steps for this group? We, like I said, I think that the workforce development piece and connecting with the education focus group on some quick wins, maybe incorporating our CTA program that came up a lot on our last call, with this group. Any other thoughts that we need to jot down as focus areas moving into the future? Obviously, I appreciate that. Certainly, the elephant in the room is we got to get downtown reopened. We have to move past some of the situations we're in now, and I don't at all gloss over that. I know that that's certainly there. And what other things can we look at as well as we move forward, specifically in the hospitality space? All right, my last Zoom call was kind of quiet too, actually. It's a quiet day for Zooms.
Hey, Zach.
Yeah.
This is Donald. I just want to go to Sharonda's comment. We should have those conversations. And so I think Louisville tourism, we should figure out who, when, and where.
Yeah.
As the next step.
That's great. That's great, especially when we talk about getting folks back to work. You know, the latest study showed over 60,000 hospitality employees in the MSA, and I know well over half of those, based on a new study by GLI, are furloughed or laid off right now. And so we really need to work together to connect those dots. But that is great. And Sharonda, I appreciate you saying that. And I think we definitely need to figure out what our lane is in that and have the conversations about how we can work together. I know you said there's also some frustration that we're just now reaching out, and asking, but it sounds like there's still going to be willingness to have conversations when the time is right.
And there's been some, but another point was brought up for national business. At some point, I think after Peggy Riley retired, there wasn't a face or somebody that had established relationships that looked like us that could recruit business from out of town. And I have a few friends who are some of the top African American conference negotiators, and they've never been to Louisville, nor has Louisville reached out to them. So when we're looking at trying to strengthen our relationships with Greeks, fraternities, those types of things, immediately you should have the top 5 to 10 African American conference negotiators in the city of Louisville. They had no idea that we had the Galt House that has 1,300 rooms, over $130,000 in meeting space. That would cure some of those events. They don't know the Galt House is available. And so if Louisville can do a better job with coordinating its space, its meeting, I don't know the technical term for it, but coordinating all of its space and getting that out to those top African-American negotiators, then they'll see like, oh, okay, Louisville is different, because Cincinnati is getting a lot of business. They're not nearly as well connected, or their hotel structure is Louisville, in my opinion. So I see various cities, like we just took business to Charlotte because we have a relationship with Charlotte, a proposed relationship. It could have came to Louisville, but there's no relationship in the African American community. So I think that needs to be a focus. And I did say that in Black tourism, but I think we need to step that up so African American conference negotiators know what we have and they have a relationship and they're willing to bring their people here.
Great, thank you. There was in the chat box, Ryan mentioned making sure that we have DEI trainings for employees that are specifically downtown, so we can continue to make sure they're providing the most welcoming atmosphere. And I think that's a great point. I don't know how many of those joined our first training, but I thought that we will work with the Main Street Association Downtown Partnership, and I think we can make sure that honestly, even the businesses, whether they're specific to the hospitality industry or not, these trainings are relevant. I thought the first one, didn't matter what your professional side was. I think it could make sense for everybody. So we'll make sure we get the word out and specifically target downtown as well for that second workshop at the end of September. I think that's a really good point. Daryl, I don't know if you mind if I call you out on just airport. I don't know if you have any recent updates on TSA throughput or just what's going on at the airport. I know you have some good things with renovations. That rental car area is looking good.
Yeah, no, we opened up our new rental car facility, which is on the first level of the parking garage. It provides folks cover from the weather, which they didn't have before when you went out to the west side of the terminal before where the ready return is. So it allows grab and go service as well. So keys in the car, show your ID and contract when you exit, which they haven't been able to do that. Still plugging along with the renovations, but we're gonna have to at some point kind of reevaluate the pace that we're going just with the cash drain, and so so we'll be looking at that. Price for traffic, we range from about 25% of our traffic from last year to 35%. Depends on what day you're looking at, and mostly leisure traffic. Delta Airlines came in a couple weeks ago, met with some of the large corporations, the travel planners. We gave a presentation based on what we're doing to keep the terminal clean and safe, and put up sneeze guards everywhere and social distancing markers and hand sanitizing stations. And then Delta took them on a plane and talked and showed them kind of their electrostatic spraying between each flights and things like that. That a lot of those corporations are still their folks would like to travel, and the corporate hasn't made that decision to release them yet. They're traveling leisurely. I know people that usually travel for business, and they're not traveling for business, but they're going to the beach a lot. So,
yeah. Thanks, Daryl. Appreciate that. All right, I'm gonna call one more person out, and that's Blake Henry. I don't know if he has a feel on the state fair and how that's been going, but any updates from Kentucky Venues, Blake?
Yeah, I just got back from KEC. It's a hot one out there. We're doing our horse show out there right now. We have about 6 events remaining until now to the rest of the year. Spend my time looking, as you can imagine, rescheduling these events in 21 and beyond, and that's looking pretty good. But the rest of the year, as you know, is looking pretty bleak. But we are booking business. We are booking business from 21 and beyond. We are bringing conventions, trade shows, meetings to Louisville, and we're hard at working with tourism, and we're getting this done. There is hope on the horizon. It's tough right now, as you can imagine. I had to put some barricade around the building. Do I want to do that? No. Do I like to look at that? No. I mean, the anchor downtown, it's horrible. But I mean, COVID is taking us back by 2 years, in my opinion, as a destination. Throw a possible fire into this facility, it's going to take many years to recuperate from that. It's pretty bad right now in downtown. But we are looking at non-traditional events, things we wouldn't book in the convention center at 100%. So being creative, being flexible, we all know this during this time right now. But communication is key. And to have this platform to talk about our businesses, how we can help elevate Louisville and process is key. So I'm happy to be part of it. And again, let me know whatever I can do to help you. My door is always open. Call me.
Thanks, Blake. I think whoever is calling in, you may need to put your phone on mute. We're getting some feedback from you. So it's a 381 number.
Blake, I love the landscaping you've done outside around the building since yesterday afternoon. Great.
Thanks. You brought up GBAC. That's a great initiative. And we're working hard to get that accreditation too. So hopefully we'll have that down by late December, but definitely in, late September, but before December for IAEE when they go to town December 7th through the 11th. There's a whole bunch of meeting planners coming to town. So that's a great opportunity to kick in the city too.
Great, yeah. I will close this out by talking about our last initiative, and that is our team at Louisville Tourism is working really hard to forecast through the end of the calendar year of 2021 when it comes to group business. We've done an initial swipe through June of 2021, and we're going to try to take that to the end of the calendar year. So just so everyone on this call knows, we're trying to forecast out what that looks like with group business, conventions, meetings. And then the leisure piece of that is a little trickier, but just really taking a look at the year ahead. And I'm sure we'll be sharing that information to come. We also have our destination marketing forum, which is at the end of September. It's going to be all virtual. If you haven't received an invite to that, We're going to give an update on our destination strategic plan and a couple other key initiatives that are kind of finishing up that have started actually a couple years ago now. And we're finishing those up at this time. And so it's going to be a virtual meeting at the end of September. So if anyone has questions on that or would like to get the invite, please let me know. And we'll make sure you get on the list for our Destination Marketing Forum at the end of September. I guess any other open questions or thoughts, comments before we kind of finish, Shanna?
Yeah, I wanted to mention something. Currently, the Kentucky Derby Festival is not producing any live events. Much like Blake and others on the call have mentioned, we've tried to get really creative, and we actually hosted our Thunder at Home 2 weekends ago, what would have been a rescheduled date. But I did want to mention that we did, in conjunction with our partnership with Kroger Stores, bring the Pegasus pins for 2020 back in as a retail opportunity at those locations. I think everybody's aware that the Pegasus pin has become symbolic of supporting the tradition of the events that we produce for the community. A majority of those are free to the public with those pins. It's kind of become like the lifeline of the festival since the early 1970s, and they had just hit the stores 1st of March when everything sort of shut down with COVID. So like I said, we were able to partner with Kroger, and those are back in Kroger stores and will be through Labor Day. You know, I don't know if there's any opportunities with any of the organizations coming up, if it's a way to maybe build some hope or something to look forward to in 2021, because we do plan to honor the 2020 pins for 2021 entry to all our events that typically would have had Pegasus pins. So, you know, those of you in the hospitality industry, hotels or anything like that, if there's something that we can, you know, work out with you guys, we would love to do so. Because, you know, it's important to the community. I think it's something, as we refer to as a tradition, and as I've heard a lot of people talk about on this call, hope that we can have those difficult conversations so that we can create a better community for everybody to come out and enjoy those events.
Thanks, Shanna. Appreciate it.
Hey, Shanna, Krista again at the bell. You probably know this, but we are in fact partnering with you guys, and we'll be giving out those Pegasus pins. We have a tribute to the Great Steamboat Race that is happening on the Wednesday before the Derby, which strangely enough is Wednesday, September 2nd. But it is kind of like a nod to that great tradition, and Derby Festival has been fantastic in supporting our little race that we are doing between our two boats. I say race in air quotes. But we felt strongly about what you just said, sort of trying to keep some continuity with some of these great traditions in our community. And since we happen to have two boats ourselves, we figured why not. So thank you again for that. But I also just wanted to share that with everyone in case you're looking for something to be optimistic about.
Thanks, Krista. Appreciate it. All right. Well, seeing no other questions or comments in the chat, I personally got kind of two takeaways. One, this building relationships that Sharonda brought up, and to Donald's point, who's that going to be? When can we do that, and where? I think are really good follow-up pieces to that. Making sure that our next kind of workshop and module in the DEI space, really making sure that downtown hears about that and has an opportunity to join the downtown employees. Thanks, Ryan, for bringing that up. And we'll make sure we get Main Street Association and Downtown Partnership involved to help us reach the businesses as well. I think it really should be opened up to anybody and everybody. The realtor associations too came to mind. I think we need to make sure that they're involved as they reach out to guests and folks who are potentially working and moving here. So maybe it was two things. And then I'll make sure we get more information on the marketing forum. I know Sharonda already reached out. If anyone else wants to get an invite to that, make sure we get included. So good discussion. We will keep other discussions. Blake, I appreciate your comment about the communication and trying to stay in touch. I think that's important as well. And we'll get another meeting scheduled on the books with more updates to come. And there'll be more follow-up on those two pieces. I think those are really good next steps for this group. As we've already kind of launched some quick wins and some things, some successes, and some responses really to what's going on. I think those are good next follow-ups. So thanks so much. Any other feedback, questions, thoughts? All right, we really appreciate you guys making the time for this. Thanks for being part and everything you guys do in the community. Really appreciate your efforts, and we'll talk soon. Thanks.